Hello, and welcome back to Anakut, a podcast about contemporary Cambodia and the people who live here. I am Volek, and I am one of your hosts. As always, I am joined here by Andrew, my co-host. Hello, Andrew.
Hi, Volek. It's great to be here for another episode. Today is all about modern culture and place, with that place specifically being Phnom Penh. With an official population of more than 2.2 million people, maybe more than that, the city is the largest in the country by far. It's where people from the farthest reaches of the provinces come together, for work, for holidays, or to seek vital services in areas such as higher education, medical care, and whatever else. Today, we'll be exploring how the city shapes the latest in Cambodian culture, or at least the role it plays in bringing art, music, and other creative pursuits to the eyes, ears, and minds of the public. In that, we're also looking at the broader infrastructure for artistic work in the country, both at how it's developed so far, and what could be done to encourage even more creativity in the future.
Phnom Penh might not be a global cultural hub such as New York, Paris, or Tokyo, but it does undeniably play a key role in making popular taste and mass media in Cambodia. While development is usually shorthand for construction or economic growth in Cambodia, we want to look how Phnom Penh is driving forward the country's creative and artistic growth. For that, we spoke with people from different lanes of the world, tastemaker if you will, to hear what features the capital has that helped to nurture creativity and what would help it better serve as an incubator for rising talents. In this episode, you'll hear from Sok Visal, founder of music label and now film production studio KlapYaHandz, Yean Reaksmey, a curator, art critic and lecturer of art history, and Sievphin Chong, who's better known by his alter ego name, Peace Chong. He's an independent musician and digital culture creator known for his internet antics, which range from humorous to self-reflective.
We wanted to hear how things looked from each of their own lanes, exploring questions about the current state of their respective industries, engaging if Phnom Penh was inspirational to creatives in and of itself. Visal, from KlapYaHandz, put the modern scene in a much broader arc of history, describing the city as a kind of focal point for efforts to rebuild the country's cultural landscape after years of turmoil. That idea of needing to rebuild or do a revival was a central theme of our conversation.
I had this theory where Cambodia has two golden age. The first golden age was back in the peak of the Angkor civilization, 800 something to 1000 ED or whatever. And then there was the second golden age that was in the 60s when Phnom Penh was called the Pearl of Asia. I cannot imagine that if we didn't have the war and we didn't have the genocide, we didn't have all this stuff, where Cambodia would be right now. In terms of culture, as a nation, as all stuff.
Visal started his own career as an artist, but now spends his time managing his label and production studio, which he founded in 2004, initially to promote Cambodian hip-hop. He gave us some perspective from those decades in the industry, watching a new cultural awareness take shape. He saw Phnom Penh's influence within that broader revival.
I've been here 30 years now. I came back here 30 years ago. I was born here, but I left before the Khmer Rouge took over the country. Live overseas for 18 years in France, 2 years in America. And when I came back 30 years ago, I really felt that there was no visibility for arts and culture. There was none. And I understood because of history, that during the genocide, during the Khmer Rouge, most of the people who was targeted was intellectuals and artists. They were the first to be wiped out from society, maybe because of that. And second, I guess, when the country came out from its isolation and after the election in 93, until all the way to maybe 2008, 2010, I think the focus was mostly on economic revival more than just art and culture. The big focus was trying to get back on our feet economically and stuff. So I understand that wasn't the most important thing. But for me, I guess as an artist, it was important that there was a hole or a gap to be filled. There was something to be done. And naturally, I went on this 20 years of marathon to just create stuff. Even though there was no real industry back then when I started, there was no music industry or film industry. And there was no way also to make money off arts, music and films and all that stuff. But I did it anyway. And because out of passion, because out of love for music and film. And I did it. I did all this stuff. And I guess now, 2023, I think now there's an industry. There's the music industry, there's the film industry. Even now, there's an emerging fashion industry. Of course, there's architecture and there's all this stuff that's happening. I mean, now cooking also is becoming something that's a trend. People are starting to see cooking now as an art, not no more as a way to feed people. There's a creativity and there's expression in cooking. It's the same for a lot of different fields here in Cambodia. I think it's because of other people who did the same thing in their field, paintings and dance and films. I must say that there was also a lot of foreigner involved in reviving and rebuilding the cultural scenes as well. There was a lot of NGOs, people who came back also to Cambodia, people like On Chanpon from CLA, Cambodian Living Arts, people who started all this art gallery in Phnom Penh, people who started creating and taking care of artists and trying to promote them outside of Cambodia, but also, all these people, they saw something about Cambodia. I think they felt what I felt about this country and the Cambodian people. I think it's important to take care of the culture and the art scene.
These themes came up in our other conversation too. We wanted to go deeper into some of the things that make Phnom Penh a cultural hub. So we went over to Salapat Tachepnek at YK Art House in the city Bangkengkong district to keep the conversation going with our next source.
My name is Dy Sereyvoleak. I work in art field as a curator and an art writer. Today I also teach at the university's art history. I've been working in the art since as long as I can remember.
Reaksmey got his start in childhood as a student with Phaplu Salapat, which does stage performances with Cambodian storytelling elements. Though he's done art himself, today he's all in on gathering and promoting the work of others, modern visual arts such as painting and sculpture. He's currently overseeing exhibitions and events at YK Art House, where he gave us an overview of the arts infrastructure in Phnom Penh. Basically, he said, it's a work in progress.
Our art market is quite small comparing to our neighboring countries, but also in other art scenes. We need museums and more art galleries in the country, and now our infrastructure is lacking all of those components. And as I said, compared to 2011 when I entered Phnom Penh, and now it's not really much of the difference when it comes to the ecosystem itself. So when it comes to financial support for the community, which is the fuel of that, is still very lacking. Not necessarily about buying. Sometimes it's also grant to support an artist to purely create an artwork or create a project. Financial support from the council, we don't have the art council here, to make art workshop or producing catalog or things like that. Not necessarily about sale, but all of this financial support in general.
These bigger structural elements, like the lack of material support, had come up when we spoke with Visal. But almost as much as a lack of ways to provide money or funding, our sources have pointed as well to a lack of places for artistic things to happen. Not enough venues, exhibition halls, or even just events where people are coming together to do or enjoy creative things. Reaksmey said Phnom Penh is the economic hub of Cambodia, which affords creatives with opportunities they just might not find elsewhere in the country. We still had some questions, though, about the more intangible elements that make Phnom Penh important for the bigger cultural landscape of the country. I put a version of that question to Reaksmey. So looking more broadly at the Cambodian context, what role do you see the capital, Phnom Penh, playing in generating modern culture throughout the country?
I think COVID already witnessed this in a sense that Phnom Penh sustained itself from the COVID attack, if you will. In Bat Dambong and in Siem Reap, there are many galleries that closed during COVID. Not to say that Phnom Penh did not experience that, but in a less severe way. So it can tell us that this is a place where art market is, although it's small. It tells us how the city play a crucial role in sustaining the art ecosystem in general. There's a lot of artists that was not born here. They are the one who brought all of this idea from outside of the capital. I think this look at Phnom Penh as enabling space for these voices to be heard or grow. One interesting aspect we call Phnom Penh is the uniting factors. We can see this in the aspects of the water festival, where you see many Cambodians come from all over the place to join the festival, but also see the boat race. So we can look at this as the capital from that perspective. So I stick to the idea that it's still an enabling space for all of those voices to be heard and grow. Talk about the uniqueness of each space has to offer, right? I think there are so many stories that Cambodian artists provide to the world from the lens of Cambodian culture. And our story sometimes is also a universal one, which is relevant or resonate with the other communities. And Cambodian artists today, for instance, Pachapia, inspired so much from Cambodian culture and now putting his craft or his art in the universal scale. So I think in a sense we play an important role in changing the art history or also changing the art landscape of contemporary modern art, a global contemporary and modern art as well.
We like the idea about people coming together in Phnom Penh, of this Cambodian storytelling in the cities, and becoming part of this bigger global story about art and human experience. That is part of what we've been curious about through this episode. And nowadays, when we think about these global stories, almost all of them are happening across one shared platform, the internet. In some ways, the internet can level the playing field for creatives to both make and share their work to a broad audience without the need of a gallery or concert hall. We wanted to learn more about how Phnom Penh fosters digital culture, so we hit YouTube and tracked down our next interview.
I'm Peace Chong. I just do stuff. I don't mind if it's music, video, film, short film, or poetry. I just put out ideas.
Peace Chong says his stage name represents a kind of character he plays, one based very closely on himself. He produces a range of content for an audience he's built on social media, with more than 167,000 followers on Facebook and 110,000 on YouTube. He does this as an independent creator, but does commercial production work as well. He told us he's been living in Phnom Penh for about 10 years now, having moved to the city at the age of 17 for school. He grew up in the provinces of Stung Treng and Ratanakiri. He started making content a year after he came to Phnom Penh, so about at 18, learning from YouTube as he went along. He told us that coming to Phnom Penh from the provinces was a key event in his life.
I was insecure at the time, at the province. My surroundings are toxic.
So then, do you think it would have been possible for you to have gone on this path that you're on if you'd stayed in Stung Treng or Ratanakiri?
Staying outside of Phnom Penh, I don't know, at least at my provinces, it limits me from doing what I want to do. Yeah, I always crave for new information, crave for new tools, crave for people who really gets me, and I'm grateful that they can lend me their hand, and the environment, the space that I can access that help me execute my stuff. Like, there are so many things that matter to me here in Phnom Penh. So I think staying here make my dream possible.
How did you feel when you first came to Phnom Penh?
Freedom. Freedom. Yeah. I think freedom is the most luxurious thing that I own. And I still cherish it my whole life. Yeah. Freedom is amazing. That's the best thing.
So when we talk about what makes Phnom Penh special, or what gave you that freedom to meet people and to create and do things, do you think it's the element of chaos? People all over the place, bouncing around, like making contact with each other? Or what else do you think it is? What do you think it was about Phnom Penh that gave you that freedom to explore? Just all the stuff here?
I think at first, I need to get the fuck out from the people I surround with before to be able to become another version of me that I want to be. And the rest, just figure it out later. And turns out, Phnom Penh, it's not like amazing, but Phnom Penh got what you need. And obviously, it's a lot better than the province. In terms of technology, the city, the people, and a lot of foreigners. I like hang out with foreigners. We gotta share culture. We gotta share ideas.
So the city has a lot of benefits, right? Especially for young creative people, where things are happening, where things are at. Do you feel like the city plays a role in your work besides that? Some cities are almost like a character in their own way. Like New York in the music of Jay-Z, New York plays a big role in what he does. Do you feel that Phnom Penh has that same kind of role for you or for other artists in Cambodia?
Yeah, I think Phnom Penh is like a tree full of fruit. You like it or not, just go and grab that kind of fruit. But if you don't like that tree, you don't like that fruit, you have to grow your own tree to be able to have different fruit that you like. I think a lot of possibility to make artists work here, but to me, I feel less variety of it. If I want to make it work, I can just boom, doing something that can sell. But to me, I feel bored if I do that. So I choose to grow my own tree, to have my own type of fruit.
Do you think just like more money would motivate people to do different things? If there was just more investment in general in art?
Oh, hell yeah. That's why I grow my own tree and then I let them taste it. If you like it, okay, invest to grow more tree like this. I don't mind. I open for everything. To me, I believe in doing new stuff. I think that's what make the city or the society unique if the people have room for people who do new stuff and people who excited to see new stuff. I think that's come together, the maker and the supporter.
So besides being the economic center of gravity for Cambodia, Phnom Penh also just offers a certain kind of vibe. Peace Chong thought the chaotic, free-mixing energy of the city, plus the freedom of breaking out from a small-town life, helped bring out his own creativity. Even still, he also said the city could use some more art. He and everyone else we spoke with for this episode commented on the need for more cultural activities, such as shows and exhibitions, more venues, more people simply trying things out and experimenting with creative ideas. So as we bring this episode to a close, we'll take a look down the road. Back at YK Art House, we asked Reaksmey if he was optimistic about the future of the arts and culture in Cambodia. Here's how it went.
When you look at the next generation and then the rising generation kind of entering this world, what do you see and how does it make you feel about the future of arts in Cambodia?
I'm very hopeful. People now take interest in art, especially younger generations. They take art history classes, they do photography, they do filmmaking, despite the fact that this formal education does not exist in the formal institutions such as university as the degrees of study, right? So we have these voices that's now not necessarily controlled by the art scenes, but outside of the art scenes as well. I like this idea of diversity, so it's going to be so diverse in the future. Not very long, I think it's going to be in 2 or 3 years, so many new filmmakers and photographer artists will come. So I'm quite hopeful about the art scenes.
This has been an episode of the Anakut podcast, which is a program of Globe Media Asia. The program is sponsored by Konrad Adenauer Stiftung and is hosted by yours truly, plus Tina and Volek. As always, we are produced by Jan Muller, aka Professor Kinski.